Let's not waste some time. Let me welcome you all to the One Stock, One Trade strategy. If you were there last night, this is going to be like a refresher. If not, this will be a good opportunity for everybody to learn a really cool strategy and a really good way to trade some stocks. So, like I said, I don't know where everybody has come from or how you ended up getting to this webinar, whether it was through email or something. But if you're active on social media, I request that you follow me on some of my social media outlet channels. I'm on Twitter at The Lincoln List, Facebook at The Lincoln List, and of course, Instagram. I always post free whiteboards. Every week I'll do a happy hour and a market review and recap. So if you're active on social media and that's your thing, go ahead and take a moment and follow me there. And hopefully it'll help you make a little bit of money. So when we were talking about doing this webinar, some of you may have seen the video at the beginning, the introduction video to this. And this is the right type of strategy here to use if you feel like you're one of those traders out there that are always chasing stocks and missing out on opportunity. Like you just feel like that's all you're ever doing is chasing a move, or you're missing a move at the right inflection point, or you're just doing research after research, looking through ticker after ticker, and you seem to come up with ideas, but by the time you put the ideas together and you digest what's happening, you've already missed out on the opportunity, or you've actually chased the stock and you have such a poor entry price that it kind of puts you behind the eight ball. It's also a good strategy if you are new, which we all kind of go through when we are new, or if you've just been trading for a while. We sometimes feel overwhelmed and confused by the market. Again, I want to kind of use this theme is that it takes a lot of work for a new trader, an inconsistent trader, somebody that hasn't had a lot of screen time in front of the computer to digest how this whole thing works. There's one part about reading books and watching DVDs and kind of getting a general idea of what you're supposed to do. But then it's a completely different story when it comes down to what am I actually supposed to do and how do I perform in a real-time environment to the best of my ability. So if that's someone like you, I think you're going to like this strategy. And the same thing is if you always feel like you're a step behind, you just don't have consistency. One of the things that I talked about last night, one of the things I've talked about in a few whiteboards, that's for lack of a better word, let's say a discouraging part of a trader's development, is something that we call the accordion effect. And this is where a trader will have a period of success. And maybe they don't quite understand what that success is all about. They just feel like, hey, my strategy's working, my program's working, I'm on fire. And then all of a sudden, things change. You know, maybe you take a couple of bad trades, or you go through this really crappy market cycle where everything you touch turns to crap instantly, right? We've all been there. And you start to doubt yourself. It's what I call the accordion effect. It's like you take a couple of steps forward and then you're immediately squished right back to where you started from. And that's frustrating because you feel like, hey, look, I finally got it. I'm finally ready to achieve consistency. And then maybe you screw up. Maybe it's a product of not being prepared for a different kind of market or different kind of tape. And then, you know, there you find yourself screwed up again. And it's frustrating. And I think the reason for this is because of our introduction into this business. And one of that thing is it's always been, for all of us, I was brought in the same way. It always seems to be like the hot stock pick, right? That's why you're always kind of brought into the hot stock pick. You see that stuff on Twitter now. You watch CNBC, and what do they talk about every night? What's the next hot stock? What's the next Amazon that you're going to buy for $5 and hold to 1,000? You know, what's this next superstar stock pick? And you're just constantly like chasing the next hot stock idea, looking for what I guess they refer to sometimes as a multi-bagger or whatever. And if some of you are familiar with trading the micro caps or penny stocks, it's always what's that next BPTH or the VLTC, the Vermal, the dry ships, which is that next low float that gets churned. And what that does is it kind of puts you into this mode that you think you have the ability to catch this entire move of a stock. So, you know, hypothetically, yes, if you would have bought 10,000 shares in 1999 or 2000 of Amazon, and you held it to today, you would have done well. But would you have actually held that position? If you look at it, for a good decade, Amazon didn't do anything at all. It was basically just dead money. And it didn't really make its rally until, over these last several years. And if you've got these tons of alerts going off every day with your business, like I talked about this last night too, you got your computer's firing off, you got red and green stuff blinking, and you got social media coming at you. I guess what I'm trying to say is I want you to ask what you're asking yourself to do every day as a trader. You only have so much time that you're given in the day to do what you need to do. And there's something that we talk about in our trade room, which is called decision fatigue. Again, I did not a webinar, but I did a happy hour on this too. There's only so much the trader can process. Anybody can process. It doesn't even have to be a trader. You can only handle so much coming at you to where you have maximum mental power. So like if some of you are older like me, I'm 50, so I'm appealing to the older people here. We're really good when we get up in the morning, huh? And then as the day goes on, we start to, you start to get a little loose upstairs. You start forgetting things, and by the end of the day, you barely know what your name is, right? I know you feel that way, Pirate. But, you start to get this mental fatigue, and it's natural. So when you're starting out in the day, you've got all this stuff coming at you, and it feels, especially when you're starting and you're inconsistent or you feel like you're under pressure to make money in the stock market. You've got all this stuff just coming at you. It's moving really fast. And this is what causes traders problems. This is why we always talk about the screen time, because you may watch a DVD or you may read a book and you can do great technical analysis in hindsight, but when things happen in the blink of an eye or a split second and you have to execute without hesitation, that's where things start to change. And the more confused that you become as a trader, the more strategies that you try to implement into your trading business to begin with, the more strategies that you mess with, the more indicators that you use, the more complicated that you make trading in the beginning will lead you down a very bad road. It'll be hard for you to process that information. Now, some of you might ask why that's so important. One of the things I've always talked about is just how delicate your development is in the beginning when you start this out. So if you're someone that's struggling right now and you don't have consistency or you're very new, this is an important time for you, because the longer that you go that way, the harder it will be for you to come back out of it, if that makes any sense. And you may end up doing some sort of psychological damage, or you just may be mentally ruining yourself day by day. And then when you finally figure this whole thing out, you might just be too far gone. Does that make sense to you guys? You just might not be able to execute. You might not just be able to put it all together and get over those psychological demons. Now, it's a little deeper topic right there, but that's something that you have to take into consideration. If you start out wrong, it can screw you up, and that will ultimately lead you down a disastrous road. So let's talk about this strategy here. What is it? Why does it work? Why is it important to you? Well, the thing with this is the one stock, one trade strategy focuses only on one stock or one financial instrument. So if you guys are out there and you trade one stock, maybe you trade E-minis, something like one instrument like the E-minis or the NQs, foreign currencies, or something like that. What this does is it allows you to reduce your decision stress. Remember I talked about decision fatigue in the previous slide. What this does is it takes down everything that you have and strips it down into the most simple form. Maybe it should be called the Neanderthal strategy, right? The less stuff that you have in your way of making a decision, the better the decision could be. So when you have this maximum focus that's just directed in one area, it is easier for you to predict moves. And ultimately, the snowball effect is it eliminates a host of bad trader behaviors. One of the analogies that I like to use for this is that when you know what it is you're looking for, and when you're constantly looking at it, it's easy for you to find. Would you guys agree with that? So let's say like you were looking at buying a car, and for an example, I'll say a Honda Accord. Maybe I should use a Lambo since we're traders, but let's be good traders. We'll use a Honda Accord. So let's say you want to buy this car. It's like the moment you start looking, you guys ever done this? You're looking at something to buy, you start doing research for something, especially a vehicle. And the next thing you know is every time you're driving down the road, you start seeing a bunch of Honda Accords everywhere, right? Now, maybe a couple of weeks before, you never noticed any of these cars because you weren't paying attention. It wasn't on the forefront of your mind. But now that it is, you're kind of amazed at, wow, look how many of these cars are out here. I didn't realize this. And that's how this one stock, one trade strategy works. It allows you to develop a relationship, a rapport, and an understanding of a way a specific stock or a specific financial instrument works. And that helps you get a step ahead in predicting a certain way that it's going to move. Also, before we get into this as well, one of the things that we notice a lot is how traders seem to always be searching for that holy grail setup. It's always about setup. Hey, what setups do you use? Every time I go speak somewhere or talk someplace, people, what are you doing? What kind of strategy you use? What setups do you use? And setups are good. You need that. Everybody needs to have a process. And indicators will help you as you progress with your trading to get a better understanding and give you a little bit more of an edge. But one thing that we always overlook is rhythm. The rhythmic patterns like I talked about last night. It's not just about a setup, but these are also called patterns, and patterns have repetitive nature. So one of the things that I talked about last night was like people that you know. You meet someone and they have a certain behavior and they sort of give you an impression. Now, the longer that you know them, that impression normally changes because you've learned more about that person, and then you know things that they like and they don't like. You know what makes them angry, what makes them sad, what makes them happy. So you know their patterns, you know their behavior. So before we talk about it, the reason I'm going into this is because this is the whole theory behind using that one stock, one trade strategy. It, again, allows you to develop a rapport with something to where you can forecast the behavior. So this is something that I did last night. I'm going to show you guys a series of charts. I don't have any names on these charts, but these are current charts. And I don't have any prices on it. I just want you to take a moment with no indicators and nothing. And I just want you to look at the chart. That's all I want you to do is just look at the chart. So when you see this chart, do you guys see anything that has some sort of repetitive behavior in it? I'll give you a second there. Anybody see that? Anything that looks like it might be happening over and over again, like a good dream. Just over and over and over and over and over. Okay. So yeah, I'll make it a little bit easier. You can see that every day this stock right here takes off in the morning and sells off, takes off in the morning and sells off, takes off in the morning and it sells off. It keeps repeating that over and over again. So just by looking at this, I would think you all agree, is there a money-making opportunity to be had here? Can you guys see some way that you can actually profit from a stock like this? Yes or no? Anybody think they can do this? So you don't really need a moving average or a stochastic or a Fibonacci cycle, right? You can see it with your eyes. You follow what I'm saying? You can see it with your eyes. It's right in front of you. And not only is it just one directional move, there's multi-directional moves. Again, one of the things that traders will often do that hinders themselves is not looking at both sides of the fence, is having this bias of like, I only want to long stocks. I only want to short stocks. You look at something like this, could you not, a yes and no question, could you not buy this early, then short it later? Buy it early and short it later, and keep continuing to do that over and over again until this pattern stops working, right? So the thing is, not only look for setups, but look how the rhythm of that goes. And again, you don't need all that other fancy crap cluttering up your viewpoints right now. You just need to look at what's in front of you and go from there. So I'll give you like another one here. Let's take a look at that one. Anybody see any sort of rhythm in that right there? So I'll make it a little easier for you. You can see how this one does the same thing, right? It trades to a certain level. There'll be a number down there where that red line is. It'll trade to a certain level. Then it trades back up to that level. And then it gets rejected again, and it does it over and over again. So the theory behind all of this is, what you don't have here is price. Yes, Tom, support resistance is a great thing, but there's reasons that they trade to these levels. There's areas that stocks mess around with. So if you've been in a stock, one thing that's interesting is if you're in a trade and let's say it's not working for you. If you guys ever been in a situation, you get in a trade and it's not working for you. Doesn't it seem interesting how well you can predict how crappy that stock is? Like you say, it will not bounce. I swear to you, this stock will never bounce another day in its life, ever again. This is the top in the history of the world. You ever felt like that? Because you're in it and you're paying attention to it. So you're noticing every like little tick that goes on with this stock, and you keep seeing it get sold off on every spike. You're like, it's not gonna do it. So that's what we're doing with this one stock, one trade strategy. Is it really just comes down to the simple part of you focusing on one thing or one or two things, which allows you maximum focus and allows you to pick up on things that you can't maybe necessarily with other strategies. Now, I'm not knocking other strategies. What works for traders works for traders. But again, when we talk about the complications when you're starting out, you need to make this as simple as possible. If you've been doing this for a while without consistent success, you need to go back to the basics and make it as simple as possible, because whatever you're doing, isn't working. Just forget about it. It's not working. It hasn't worked up to this point. It probably won't work in the future, and that's not taking shots at people, making you feel bad. But you have to say that so you understand, look, it's not working. I have to make a change. And when we talked about things like micro cap stocks or the next big stock, that's kind of how that business works, is those stocks have a very short shelf life. They'll come around, they'll have 1 to 2 days of upward momentum, and then you got to wait for the next one, right? And then you got to wait for the next one. And maybe one out of every couple of hundred that come by will be a dry ships, will be a VLTC or VTs, whatever, I can't remember the ticker symbol, SEAL or something like that, to where you can get a multi-day move. Now, you can make money like that, but it's a little bit more difficult and it requires more effort, I think, in my opinion, because I've traded those, than something like the one stock, one trade strategy, which really just takes it back to, like I said, the Neanderthal type of strategy, where it's a little easier for you to comprehend. So we'll now move on to what kind of stock, since you're going to trade one stock, what kind of stock would work the best for something like this? And as I was talking about last night, you only need 2 types of criteria. You certainly could use more. I'm just giving you the basics here. It's not the end all to be all, that's obvious, but 2 things that I look for is range and liquidity in the trade. So range is, the way I'm defining range, some of you could actually scan this with average true range, is how far does a stock move in a single day? Now, where would you get that information? Just take a look at a daily chart of any stock that you like. Just go back and take a look at a daily chart spanned over 6 months, and with your eye, get an idea of how much that thing normally moves in a single day, from the bottom of the candle to the very top of the candle. How much is that? And that's where you start from. Is that enough range for you? Because that's what you need as a day trader. If you're trying to pull money out of the market, you need to be in the stocks that have a daily range to them, ones that move both up and down, like the first chart that I showed you. You need something that does that on a daily basis or has a significant move in it. If you're just trading stocks with no volume or no liquidity, you're not going to get the move. You're just not going to get the value that you're looking for in your trades. Now, one thing about liquidity, I'm sure most of you understand that liquidity doesn't necessarily just mean volume because a stock is trading in high volume. Liquidity is giving you orders on both sides of the bid and the ask everywhere, all the way up your ladder. Trying to make this explanation quick. And it basically gives you the ability to get in and out of your stock or your trades quickly if you need to. It keeps your spreads much lower on your stocks, and it also allows for shenanigans. Let me use that word, shenanigans, not to be played. You know, if you're messing around with a stock that has a 50-cent spread, you're pretty much saying to yourself, I'm going to uppay 50 cents for the opportunity to own this stock. That's kind of insane to do that stuff. And this is, again, where the micro caps sometimes fail, is people get into them and then the liquidity dries up and you can't get out of it. So you want to look for stuff that has both the range and the liquidity. Now, I know a lot of you came from Trade Ideas. Many of you use Trade Ideas. I will go one step further to help you out. If you look at the bottom of this slide, it says you can send me an email. You send me an email right there, support@thelincolnlist.com. You put scans at the top. I will give you my scans that I use. I'll give you the link. You just upload it into your cloud and you can start using it right away. That'll help you get a good base. I've already gone through all the work of setting up scans to find these types of stocks. And if you need help going over with them, I'll help you do that. But I will also share with you my favorites. I know many of you here come from the trade room. These ones on the top are my absolute favorites: Tesla, Nvidia, Netflix, and BABA. I'm pretty sure that any given day out of the week that you will find a trade. Tesla, I'm serious. I would bet my life there's never a day that goes by. Did you guys ever trade a Tesla? I don't think there's ever a day that goes by there's not a trade on Tesla. There will never be a day in its life, unless it's delisted, where it just moves 50 cents, huh? Always a trade. If you're stuck on an island and they say you can only trade one stock, that's it. You have one chart to look at, one stock. I would pick Tesla. That's it. There's always a trade on Tesla. Every day there is multiple times throughout the day, and it's liquid, and it's got short shares, easy to borrow. It's a beauty when it comes to a day. It's a day trader's dream. Now, underneath of that, I put some other ones like Shop, WDay, Wayfair, Lulu, Facebook, Apple. I rotate these. They're not always the best things to trade in a day, because like a Facebook and Apple sometimes will be dead money. They'll just sit there and do nothing throughout the day, and they trade sometimes in a tight range. And Shop and WDay, those are a little bit thinner than the ones above. But when they do start moving and they go through their accumulation cycle or their distribution cycle, like right now, everybody seems to want Apple and everybody wants to run away from Facebook. You got significant range in those. So with that rotation out of that, if that was all that was on your watch list, somebody will give you exactly what it is that you are looking for to achieve your goal. So if you just put those on there, I'm pretty much telling you, you don't need any sort of moving averages. You don't need any stochastics. You don't need a scanner. You don't need anything but a few names on a list, some candlesticks, and you're good to go. Does that make sense? Now, you can definitely use those others. They help you. But if you're trying to kind of come out of a trading rut, or like I said, you're not consistent, then this is the way to go. I used to trade Amazon a lot. I don't anymore, just because me and Amazon aren't working really well. But it's the same thing. There's always a trade in Amazon too. There's always a trade there as well. And for time frames, I'll use 5 minute, 1 hour, and dailies. And we'll talk about those in a second. Now, what strategy would you use for such? Since you got one strategy, what would you use? What would you use? Well, it's simple. It's all about observing the price through those support and resistance levels. I mean, you could just sit there. I said this last night, and it sounds crazy, but it's true. And if you take me up on the deal, you'll see that it's true. If you know nothing about trading, absolutely nothing, and I gave you one chart to look at for a whole week, I would almost guarantee that you will figure out how to trade that thing. You guys can agree with that? You'll figure it out. You'll just know by looking at it. And I think sometimes we overlook that because we think trading needs to be complicated, because everybody's always producing algorithms and secret strategies, like they like to call it, right? And trying to outthink the market. That's when you get messed up, is when you try to get clever. Like, if any of you ever got really clever with the market and made money? Or was it when you were like surprised, like, oh, I kind of thought something was going to happen. And, oh, look, it just seems like it, or maybe this is a better way to look at it. Have you ever done a lot of research on something and it didn't work? And then did little research on something and it worked? And one of the things I've always said is, like, I've met thousands of traders since I've been doing, thousands, with all kinds of strategies. It seems like only the best. Everybody's all around the same win rate. Like, if you're throwing darts, using moving averages, using Fibonacci's, Elliott waves, flipping a coin, having your dog pick them for you, it's like, seems like you all end up in the same place with wins and losses. It's not about that. It's just about you being able to execute. So something that we talk a lot about in our trade room, which I think you guys should write down right now if you haven't seen it. I know it's on the DVD. It's all about idea, execution, and management. Those are the three things you got to have to succeed. You need an idea, then you need to execute the idea, then you need to manage. Coming up with the idea is the easy part. We can all figure out how to read a chart in a weekend. It's just red and green with some lines. It's a piece of cake. It doesn't take you too long to figure out someone's strategy. Where the problem comes in is believing in it and executing it, and then being able to understand, hey, I'm right or I am wrong, right? So when I talk about this one trade, one strategy, it's eliminating all of that excess noise that causes you to make a mistake. Like, if you sit there and you buy 1,000 shares of Apple, and then you go onto the internet and somebody says, Apple CEO leaving, or Apple executives selling shares, you might change your mind. You can't let people change your mind like that. So that's what this point is. Now, I know you want a little more than that, so I'm going to share with you a couple of things, the way I like to trade them. It's not the only way to trade them. If you have a strategy now, like flag breakouts, bear flag breakdowns, parabolic shorting, flush buying, whatever it might be, you're free to use them. The point is that I want to take away first is that if you stare at something long enough, you will figure out the most important parts, which is support and resistance. Everything revolves around support and resistance. That's it. That's where buyers come in, where sellers come in. That tells you where buyers are interested in a stock. That tells you where sellers take over control of a stock, where people are no longer interested. These price points mean something. And if you continually look at a stock or a financial instrument, you will automatically know that's what they do. The two ways I like to use them is going through pre-market highs in the morning or pre-market lows. And this is a trade that generally works out pretty good in the first hour or so of trading. And then the second would be reversing into a support such as buying after something flushes deeply into a support level, or something that does into a resistance. Now, one of the things here, I'm going to switch this off for just a second so I can bring up actual charts, okay? So, okay. Now you guys should have this on your charts. Am I right? Did I get this right? You see the Thinkorswim charts on here? Okay, good. I know some of you came here last night. All right. How many were here from last night? Okay. To try to make this a little easier, I always said support and resistance works the best. For those that were there last night, we did Netflix. And one of the ways that you start out with this is you pick your stock and you start with the highs, then the lows, and pivots in between. This is a 5-minute chart you're looking at. So if you look over here, this is what we drew last night. I'm going to extend these out, okay? Try not to make too much of a mess. Okay. You see that? Everybody see that? So the purpose of this drill was to observe how this stock trades from those levels to the next level. Does everybody see this? And everybody follow along? So when you're looking at this Netflix here, the first move drops in to a near-term support from back here. Everybody follow me? If I'm losing you, let me know, because I don't want you to get lost on this. So it kind of dives down in there, and then it bounces back. And then it pulls back into that level. So this level from the day before, this area right here, this 359.5, look how many times this thing came into play. It was 2 times yesterday, and it held throughout there the remainder of, for the most part, of today, and then it rolls over, and then when it rolls over, it trades in to the next area. So the theory behind these as well is stocks normally don't trade to some certain random number. You guys ever feel confused about a number? Like like you've been in a stock, you say, where's the next place the stock might go? A lot of traders don't think about that when they get into trade. Like, what's the next level? Where might this go? When should I sell this? When should I buy this? Yes, I do. I do look at multiple levels are always better. Yes, of course. But the thing is to get a good idea of what is happening. So you know, like a plan B, a plan whatever, C, A. Now, I want you to look at this as well. And do you see anything that might be standing out with Netflix here? Something that it's done a couple days in a row. It's got a little behavioral pattern, not just about support resistance, but it's got a little bit of a behavior pattern that it's kind of doing here every day, which is allowing a really great money-making opportunity. Anybody see it? A subtle one, but it's there. I'll help you. I'll help you. I'm going to go back as far as I can. All right? I'm going to help you as much as I can. Look at this day right here. When the market, there you go. There you go, Howard. You see that? Every day, here's this day, it drops. The next day here, it starts out, it drops. And then you're right, it ends up going up higher later in the day. The following day, it starts out first couple 5-10 minutes, it drops, ends up grinding out the rest of the day, you know. And again. So here you are 4 or 5 days in a row, especially the last two. It starts out with this real quick drop followed by a rip. Here's another one, a real quick drop followed by a rip. So here we are again talking about these cutting edge strategies. I figured out a secret. I got to put a moving average here or something. You don't. You can see this, right? So if you get up tomorrow and this thing dumps for 5-10 minutes right into some support down into 354, should you not be looking for a place to buy it? Because odds are this thing's going to go higher, right? It's just simple levels, you know? And it trades within these levels over and over again. And these are good moves. Like this bounce today, right here, was 358, 358 and a half. Yeah. And instantly, these are 5-minute candles. 10 minutes later, it's at 363. That's a $4 move. Can you make money on a $4 move? Can you do that? You know? And then it turns around and gives up a chunk of that quickly. So it goes from 363 right back to down to 359. So it almost gives like $2 to $3 of that back. So within a 20-minute to 25-minute span, this stock went up $3 and came back down $2. You got a $5 move in both directions within a 20 to 25-minute period of time. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to make a new high. It doesn't have to be featured on CNBC. Nobody has to be talking about it on Twitter. You got everything that you were ever looking for as a trader right there. Just right, that's it, right there. And don't let the price of the stock deter you as well, because let's say you just traded 20 shares. That's $100. $100 in 20 minutes if you just traded 20 small shares of that stock. 20. It's $100. You do that $100 a day, 5 days a week, it's $500. You guys can do the math. $2,000 a month. Who is making $2,000 a month every month, all 12 months out of the year with their day trading on 20 share positions? Anybody doing that? So you don't have to be fancy. You don't have to do that. So the most important thing first is to pay attention to these levels. Now I'm going to run one of these by you in real time here so you can take a look at what something like this would trade like. I showed this one last night too. I think this is a good example of something going through pre-market highs and how you end up getting a pretty decent move. It's a good feature on this Thinkorswim is this. Okay. Everybody see this chart right here? Let me open it up a little bit. Okay. One of my favorite is when it takes out pre-market highs. So we're looking at Roku from like a week back. It was another strong stock in a strong pattern, breaking through highs. And then you have a bunch of resistance back here from the previous day at this 69.40 levels. So it takes a little quick drop. Everybody seeing this? This is just a replay. I like it when they go through the pre-market high. Now watch this thing when it blows through resistance. Okay, just take a look at the way that it acts. And the reason that it does that is because this is a significant breaking point in a stock like this, because you have that level that we talked about. So traders will often misuse the term breaking out. Breaking out just isn't some random run in a stock. A breakout is when two areas meet, where everything comes together at one time, such as a case like this where you're breaking out on a daily chart. You're breaking out on an intraday charts. Shorts are getting stopped out at positions at high of day, and then people start piling in to chase it. You get that perfect storm of everybody meeting at the same price point. This is where these explosive moves happen. And this is what you're looking for, is these explosive moves, is these spots on the chart, because not all levels are created equal. So when we go back and we talk about the one stock, one trade strategy, what this does is allows you to see something like this, because you're not confused by looking at something else. You're not waking up every day reading the Yahoo Finance page on what's the next hot pot stock that might rip today, and you're depending on them having a legalized marijuana PR before the day is over. I mean, that's okay for speculation, but if it works for you, it works. I find this to be a lot easier, right? So there you get this big move, and it's a pretty predictable move. These stocks have a severe amount of predictability in this. So you get this, I mean, quickly this thing goes up $1, and you're not even 1 or 2 minutes in a day. So if you threw 100 shares on that, you're up $100, and you probably still have like crust in your eyes from sleeping. So that's what it looks like I love it when they go through pre-market highs or pre-market lows. That first move in the morning, you usually see a pretty substantial move. And a lot of that has to do with emotions as well, because most of the time in the first hour, everybody's trying to make something happen. This is why you guys often see so much moves in the morning, because everybody's enthusiastic. Everybody has goals. Everybody's trying to seize the day, right? So they're apt to chase moves in the morning. They're apt to panic in the morning. The reason a lot of this stuff doesn't happen is because either it happens much in the afternoon, I should say, is because everybody's already either made all the money they're going to make for the day, or they've already lost all the money they have, and they can't commit to chasing anything because they don't have any money. So that's why you don't see much going on in the afternoons. But that gives you an idea of what that looks like. I also have another one here. Was it? It was. Oh yeah. This is what it looks like when you're going the other direction with it. Let me change the time on this. Hold on. Okay, here's one here on NVIDIA. I'll draw the line here. But look what happens as soon as this thing starts clearing out that pre-market low. This is what it looks like. You'll start to see how they accelerate a little bit more because they're breaking these levels. So now when you're looking at that and you're trying to think maybe from two different spots, if you're in that trade, your next part is, hey, where would something like this go if it gets crazy? And you just go back and look at your levels here. You got this little pivot from the day before right here, right? And then you got this level down in here, right? You see those? These two levels right there. You see where I came up with them? Now, one of the reasons that you need to know these as well is because it makes a big difference in how you actually process a trade. Because if you say, hey, I wanted to short it, but I kind of missed that first entry, it would be kind of a waste of your time to short it right now because you're too close to this first initial pivot where most likely it will bounce. I mean, maybe you can get down to here, but you're pretty close to that and it's early. So, you stand a chance of getting these to bounce. And then, of course, later on, a stock like this can not only just do this, But how many of you seen something like this go down and then turn around and go green for the day, right? So one of the things about doing this as well is, I know you guys miss trades. I miss trades. But on something like an NVIDIA or something like a Tesla, you can miss this. Let's say you wanted to short it, you missed it, okay? There's no need to panic, right? It's not the only trade you got for the day. You just wait it out. You draw your support lines here and see if, okay, well, my next thing is maybe I'll get a bounce now. I know this thing has range. I know it has the ability to go up. Maybe before the day is over, it will actually go green and go above pre-market highs. Let me just wait this out and I'll come back. There'll be a trade. Now, I don't know how this thing turned out, but let's find out. See what it looked like an hour later. See if it actually traded into these levels. It's a dumper. I'm moving it out for a whole hour. So there you go. That's what an hour later looked like. Look, it just kind of buried itself down into the support and stopped, huh? Let's see what happened later. Bad day for NVIDIA. But see, the bottom line is it kind of stayed around those lows. It stayed around them for that. So that gives you kind of an idea of what you're looking for. I like when these things go through. Let me just kind of go back so I don't confuse everyone. The purpose of the one stock, one trade strategy. You can obviously use more than one stock. You use 3 or 4 when you get a little bit better. You can use a couple of different trading strategies if you know what they are. The theory behind this is eliminating what brain power you need to use as a trader. You simply do not have the time or the capabilities to process all of the information. You cannot be the best stock trader, the best foreign currency trader, the best cryptocurrency trader, the best options trader in the entire world. You can't. There's no such thing. There's no Bo Jacksons in stock market trading. It just doesn't work. You have to pick. You have to pick someplace and be a pro at that one thing. And that's what traders do when you're talking about what's the difference between an amateur and a professional. Is a professional knows where they stand when it comes to trading. They know what it is they do best. And they don't need to look at someone and say, I don't need your permission or your authority or your blessing to tell me what I'm doing is right or wrong, because at the end of the month, I'm responsible for paying my bills. I'm the one that has to come up with the money. And sometimes it's unconventional. It can be unorthodox to some, but it's like a religion. There's 1,000 different ways up the same mountain. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can succeed as a trader. You have to find that niche. And I think when it comes to being simple as possible with it, that one trade, one strategies thing, it allows you to eliminate all of the noise, all of the chasing, all of the FOMO, all of these other emotions. You just simply don't have to deal with it. You'd be surprised on how much stress this takes off of an already stressful career. I mean, it's hard enough to do this stuff. So you want to be there focusing on those 1 to 2 things. Find that piece, whether it's a support resistance, whether it's a flag breakout, flag breakdown, or a couple of pre-market highs, pre-market lows. Find something where it gives you an edge. And an edge just means that you're going to win more than 50% of the time on the trade. That's an edge. If it's 51%, that's not a lot, but it's still more than 50, right? It's still a positive edge. So once you get the edge developed, you exploit that. Then you start looking at other ways to exploit that edge. How you can maybe get a jump on the competition and get a little earlier entry or something like that. You just exploit that edge. Then once you're able to establish that as consistency, then what you do is you start putting in more size. So when you start trading this at the beginning, you don't start throwing around big size on stuff like this at the beginning. You just wait until you get your rhythm. Then you start putting a little bit more in there And that's all you got to do. Once you've figured out how to win more than 50% of the time, you have exactly what you need as a pro trader. That's it. That's all you need. The rest of it will come through your management. And your management skills will get better when you're trading the same thing. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you guys. So one last thing here is, I know some of you already know it and you already have it, is I have a DVD out that talks about not just the strategy, but how important it is to have the right foundational components, a little bit more about the idea execution management thing that I touched on a little earlier. It's free. That's all. It's just a free DVD. Right there is the link. You can either click on it or cut and paste it. If you guys want to watch it, just click on it. It'll take you right to the DVD. You can start watching it. Also, like I did last night, I offered everyone who attended a free trial to our live trade room. One of the things I talked about then is, one thing for me to sit here and talk to you about how something works and show you a bunch of charts, because charts are always right in hindsight, right? You're always 100% in those. But it's one thing to see that work in a real-time environment at a split second when all these things are going on. So I do invite everyone to trade with us for the next week. It's free. You just send me an email right there at support@thelincolnlist.com. You put in trial on the heading, and I'll get everyone set up, and you can trade with me. You can see it live on screen every day, and you can make the determination or the decision for yourself if you think it's doable. You get to see it. So I believe in it enough to show it to you. So that's going to do it for me, man. You guys have questions, I'll stick around here and answer your questions or try to help you.